President Biden plans to complete a North Korea policy review in the weeks ahead in close coordination and consultation with the Republic of Korea, with Japan, with other key partners, including reviewing pressure options and the potential for future diplomacy. But as we conveyed to Foreign Minister and the Defense Minister, the goals of this policy are clear. We are committed to the denuclearization of North Korea, reducing the broader threat the DPRK poses to the United States and our allies, and improving the lives of all Koreans, including the people of North Korea, who continue to suffer widespread and systematic abuses at the hands of their repressive government.
Let's get more on this with Nancy Snow. She's Professor of Public Diplomacy at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies in Japan. Ms. Snow, it's a pleasure having you on. Firstly, the U.S. had previously spoke of denuclearizing the entire Korean peninsula, but now the focus seems to be just on the north. Why do you think that is?
Well, denuclearization has been around now for a few years. So even under the Trump administration, we saw the efforts to get North Korea to give up its defense system. It's not likely to happen in this case, even with the change in administration. There's a lot more going on here in the landscape of the picture with this trip, because it was the first time in over 7 years that you've had this 2+2, the defense minister and the head of diplomacy heading over to Japan first and then to Korea to really solidify this relationship, especially between Japan and Korea too, and then to put pressure on China to help in this denuclearizing impact. It's a very different approach than Trump used, because his was more about personality, meeting with Abe or meeting with using his personal diplomacy, which again, in the end, didn't have much effect. So this is more of the traditional style of dialogue and meetings, and yet it takes place in the context of making a trip to Northeast Asia, but not really dealing with larger issues, Myanmar and Hong Kong, that are going on in the entire region. This is such a huge, region of the world, but they chose the most nuclearized and militaristic part of Asia to deal with first.
So you're saying that...
but it's ultimately all about China.
Oh, well, you're saying that this administration is not likely to get North Korea to denuclearize. So then what will it take to get North Korea and the U.S. to meet and possibly even compromise on each other's demands?
Well, you can hear the rhetoric coming out of North Korea. There have been different approaches. There was more cooperation we saw in the last few years between South Korea and North Korea. What the United States needs is some leverage both from China and also from South Korea, less so coming from Japan. I think this is still a North-South issue. And then, of course, China is the benefactor, is the economic, really, benefactor to North Korea. So it would take more than just U.S. pressure. And I'd like to add, too, that when you look at, diplomacy doesn't take place in a vacuum. It really involves public opinion, both at home, in this case, the United States, but also here in the region. And I think that China is still seen as kind of the major threat. And a lot of the speeches that we're hearing come out of these meetings, there's a lot more pressure being put on China on human rights, and also on having a less aggressive posture. Now China under Xi wants to meet with President Biden, possibly on Earth Day, on April 22nd. So if you can get more trust building taking place in this region, then there's some possibility of sort of a rolling down of the nuclear threat. But a total denuclearization is really not something that's in the cards. It's sort of going to an extreme, calling on that, and that's why you see the defensive posture, the reactionary posture from North Korea. You'd have to put in place some trust building measures. And we've been, the world has seen this play out over and over again and not to the best outcome.
And of course, trust is probably one of the few things missing from the equation. Nancy Snow at Kyoto University, thank you for that. We appreciate it.